Amazing! The stadium exploded after Elena-Gabriela Ruse demanded that Alex Eala's racket be inspected at the Cincinnati Open. A contentious moment, an irate opponent, and a Filipina superstar who will not back down. This is not how everybody anticipated it would end. A medical timeout, a lightning delay, a request for a racket inspection, and an outstanding performance that cost $7. The $4 million tournament was astounding. The ALA effect was caused by a player who doesn't want to lose, not merely by the audience. Elena-Gabriela Ruse was already a dissatisfied player when she took the court at Tony Travert Stadium 3. In the opening round, the Romanian had recently destroyed Magda Linette 6-0-6-3. She won a WTA 250 title in Hamburg in 2021 and peaked at a career-high ranking of number 51 in 2022. But nothing was working against Alex Eala. Then Ruse did the unimaginable out of desperation. She requested an examination of the racket. The $7 was rocked by the request. $4 million competition. At the WTA 1000 level, racket inspections were uncommon. It was a move that implied Ruse was searching for any explanation for why she was being outplayed. Was it criminal to string Eala's racket? Was her equipment malfunctioning? As officials moved toward the Filipina side of the court, the crowd was alive with conjecture. Ruse had no more justifications once the racket was found to be lawful and the inspection was completed. Eala, who was ranked 20th in the world and the 17th seed going into the match, had been completely in control from the first point. In the first game, she failed to serve, but suddenly something clicked. She won the opening set 6-1 after winning 5 straight games. In the first set, she broke Ruse 3 times, and in the second, she quickly took a 3-0 double-break lead. The Filipina was making 11 mistakes while firing 9 wins compared to Ruse's 7. On Ruse's first serve, she won 71% of the points played, and on his second serve, she won an even more remarkable 78%. In both categories, Ruse's serving performance was inferior. Just 45% and 18% of those points were won by 88 pairs in 11 out of 29 first serves, 39 crises, and 15 out of 70 second serves, respectively. An irate opponent made the desperate decision to inspect the racket. Eala was defeated by Ruse in the 2024 U.S. After a 3-6, 6-1, and 6-4 comeback in the S. Open qualifying round, there were no solutions. Even before the lightning delay, she had requested a medical timeout so that her right foot could be strapped up. Ruse's body language was defeated, her displeasure was evident, and she finally concluded she could not continue when play was halted due to a warning of lightning and thunderstorms. After securing her retribution, the Filipina made it to the round of 32, but not before a contentious incident that made the tennis community take notice. It was intended to be a competitive match between Elena-Gabriela Ruse and Alex Eala. It made sense on paper. Ruse had previously defeated Eala in a devastating 3-6-6-1-6-4 triumph in the 2024 U.S. Open final qualifying round. The then-teenager had missed out on a Grand Slam main draw debut due to that defeat. Eala had lost in the Grand Slam qualifying final round 3 times that year. However, things were different this time. Ruse was aware of it. Something clicked in the first game when Eala dropped her serve. She swiftly destroyed any idea that Ruse was a real danger. In order to take control of the first set, the Filipina broke the Romanian 3 times. She fired 9 winners to Ruse's 7, forcing her opponent to make 11 mistakes. It was a ruthless demonstration of power. The opening set was 1-6-1. In order to establish a 3-0 lead, the second set started with the Eala-breaking trick twice. With each game that went by, the Romanian's frustration grew. Even before the weather delay, she had requested a medical timeout so that her right foot could be strapped up. Then the tennis world was taken aback. Due to a lightning interruption, the umpire halted play as Eala was serving in the 4th game of the 3rd set. The crowded Tony Travert Stadium 3 at the Lindner Family Tennis Center was overshadowed by ominous clouds. In addition to giving Ruse time to gather herself, the wait allowed her to reflect on what had just transpired. Out of the 10 games she had played, she had only won 1. Eala's metrics outperformed Ruse's serving performance. Of the 29 first serves, 11 landed. 88 won only 45% and 18% of those points, respectively, with 39 Percies and 15 out of 17 second serves. In contrast, Eala won 69% of her second serve points and 67% of her first serve points. The body language was defeated, and the frustration was evident. Ruse experienced a brief reprieve when play was halted due to lightning, but it turned out to be only a postponement of the inevitable. Ruse told officials she could no longer continue almost soon after the restart. The game finished in a lackluster manner. Eala got her retribution. However, if a racket inspection had been requested, that would have been the pinnacle of Ruse's annoyance. The match was already decided when Elena-Gabriela Ruse called for a medical timeout, which was a desperate move from a player who had no other way to counter the Filipino skill. Absolute supremacy was depicted on the scoreboard. After losing the first game, the Filipino won 9 straight games, 6 games to 1 in the first set, and 3 games to love in the second. Eala was determined not to waste the 2 years she had been waiting for this moment. The match's stats were astounding. On Ruse's first serve, the 21-year-old Filipina won 71% of the points played. Against second serves, she won an even more remarkable 78%. She forced her opponent to make 11 mistakes while firing 9 winners versus Ruse's 7. Eala served in a clinical manner. 53, 18 of 34 first serves, and a flawless 16 of 16 second serves. She won 69% of her second serve points and 67% of her first serve points. Ruse, however, felt totally overpowered. The Romanian won a pitiful 45% and 18% of those points, respectively, by landing just 11 of 29 first serves, 39 curses, and 15 of 17 second serves, 88 curses. Eala had completely destroyed the match in precisely 1 hour of tennis. Eala was unrelenting from the first. The Filipina immediately demolished any idea that Ruse was a real threat after dropping her serve in the first game. She took control of the first set by breaking the Romanian 3 times. She didn't let the oppressive 80% humidity slow her down. From roughly 2 feet inside the baseline, she attacked Ruse's second serve, smashing forehand return wins to break for 3-1. She hit with confidence, accuracy, and rhythm as she pulled away to 4-1, then 5-1. The pattern was the same for the second set. Before the game was called off due to lightning, Eala broke Ruse twice to take a 3-0 lead. Ruse had previously requested a medical stoppage so that her right foot could be wrapped up, but Eala was the one who had broken her, not the injury. As the play was delayed, journalist John Brian Yolande tweeted, "Eala is putting on a methodical clinic so far." Ruse finally concluded that she could not continue since the Filipina's performance was so dominating. A walkover, retirement, and a moment of sweet revenge for the Filipina, who had been rejected 2 years prior, marked the anticlimactic conclusion of the match. What precisely was Ruse having trouble with, then? What caused her to become so irate that she would want a racket inspection before giving up and leaving the court? The solution is found in a topic that tennis commentators have debated endlessly. The serve of Eala, what many considered to be her greatest flaw, has grown to be one of her most potent tools, and it was on full show against Ruse. Eala's domination in serving is evident from the match's statistics, which tell the story. She made 53 holes, 18 of 34 first serves, and a flawless 16 of 16 second serves. She won 69% of her second serve points and 67% of her first serve points. Ruse, on the other hand, was totally overpowered. She won a pitiful 45% and 18% of those points, respectively, with just 11 of 29 first serve serves, 39 emperors, and 15 of 17 second serves. Eala's serve caught the attention of the commentators. Eala's serve simply spins around due to that spin, particularly on faster hard courts or grass courts where she has historically performed well. During the game, one analyst said that it was really difficult to manage. While it may appear simple on TV, many players find it difficult to handle in real life. Eala's second serve, which seemed incredibly slow and had an odd spin, was immediately returned into the net by Ruse. Filipino fans have affectionately called it the Fucklia serve, and it has struck again. The term Fucklia serve phenomenon, which was popularized by Eala's Filipino followers, refers to female genitalia in a crude way. However, it now has a far more tennis-specific connotation in the Eala universe. It makes fun of the 21-year-old Filipina's service motion, which was one of her game's most criticized features for a long time. Even Eala has learned to laugh with it. The entertainment value of her matches has increased along with her popularity. Filipino fans have come up with many ways to stay up late because the tour frequently takes place in the early hours of Philippine time, such as creating their own language for Eala's tennis. The four-time Grand Slam champion and tennis reporter Blair Henley talked about one of Eala's fans' amusing inventions, the now famous Fucklia serve, in an episode of Love All with Kim Clijsters. The best explanation was given by Henley. Fans of Alex Eala seem to refer to her serve as a Fucklia serve, but I might be mispronouncing this slang term. It sort of symbolizes the reality that, despite its unusual appearance, it accomplishes its goals. Eala's serve is proving to be more successful than many anticipated, despite criticism from legends like Martina Navratilova, who called it too much of a puffball, and former Serena Williams coach Rick Macci, who said it was improperly taught during her junior years. Eala has defended her serve herself. After defeating Naomi Osaka in Washington, she remarked, "I think my serve can be uncomfortable for opponents. I believe I made a lot of effort to experiment with different things. Variety is crucial. Eala has created a service game that uses every weapon in my bag, including one of the best returns on the women's circuit, to make up for her lack of strength. I prefer to think of it as multifaceted." She said, "I have a variety of weapons in my bag. The fact that I don't rely solely on my serve, in my opinion, is also beneficial. Despite this, I continue to believe that it is reliable." For example, Eala achieved a staggering 90% success rate against Osaka, winning 9 of 10 points behind her second serve in the first set. She was 15 of 19, or 78, at the end of the match. 9%. The outcomes speak for themselves. The analyst noted how Eala's serve was a key factor in her 6-4, 6-2 triumph over Naomi Osaka in Washington last month. The commentator said, "Naomi, for life of her, couldn't figure out where to stand on that second serve. She was trying everywhere." Eala's serve's lack of velocity has caused major timing problems for elite players like Jessica Pegula, whom she defeated to win the Mubadala DC Open, and Iga Swiatek, whom she defeated at Wimbledon. Eala is a left-hander, so her serve away from the backhand is more difficult to maneuver. She has now been able to add variations to her serve with more spin and depth. Now, the serve that Ruse was unable to handle was a weapon. Furthermore, Eala was demonstrating that what some perceived as her worst flaw was actually her greatest asset. It wasn't a joke, the Fucklia serve. The greatest players in the world were being defeated by this weapon. After Alex Eala's convincing victory against Elena-Gabriela Ruse at the Cincinnati. Of this contentious and decisive victory, the solution is truly revolutionary. Because Alex Eala has demonstrated in Cincinnati that she is capable of dominating, silencing skeptics, and overcoming controversy, all while her fan base cheers her on. Eala's triumph over Ruse was more than just a victory. It was an act of control and retaliation. It was the most recent part of a revenge tour in which she exacted retribution on 7 opponents in a row who had previously defeated her. Eala suffered a devastating 3-6-6-1-6-4 loss against Ruse in the final qualifying round of the 2024 USS Accessible. A teenage Eala lost in the Grand Slam qualifying final round for the third time that year. The outcome was quite different this time. In precisely 1 hour, Eala won 9 of the 10 games that were played. In comparison to Tara's 45% and 18% in each category, she earned 67% of her first serve points and 69% of her second serve points. The performance of the Filipina servers was clinical. A flawless 16 out of 16 second serves and 18 out of 34 first serves. The comments around Eala's serve, a part of her game that has long been critiqued by legends like Martina Navratilova and Serena Williams' former coach Rick Macci, made this triumph even more noteworthy. Eala's junior years were taught poorly, according to Macci. However, a distinct viewpoint on commentary surfaced during the game against Ruse. The commentator emphasized how opponents are troubled by the challenging spin Eala can apply to the ball. Eala's serve simply spins around due to that spin, particularly on faster hard courts or grass courts where she has historically performed well. The commentator said that it was quite difficult to manage. While it may appear simple on TV, many players find it difficult to handle in real life. Right after this analysis, Ruse returned Eala's second serve, which looked slow but had an odd spin, straight into the net. Recalling Eala's 6-4-6-2 victory over Naomi Osaka in Washington, the commentator said that Osaka was unable to decide where to stand on that second serve. Eala's unconventional serve, the Fucklia serve, has even given her Filipino fans a new vocabulary. They have fondly called it the "fucklia serve," a colloquial word that makes light of her serving motion while noting that, despite its unusual appearance, it works. These days, the phrase is used all over the world. It even appeared on an episode of Kim Callista's Love All, where tennis reporter Blair Henley, a four-time Grand Slam champion, talked about the phenomena. Eala has come to appreciate the humor and inventiveness of her admirers and has learned to laugh along with it. The Eala effect has implications for tennis that go beyond simply winning games. The goal is to transform the sport itself. Eala has evolved into something the sport has never seen before, as evidenced by the crowd that transformed the Lindner Family Tennis Center into a sea of Philippine flags. A player whose ranking or Grand Slam victories have little bearing on her ticket office value. The debate was settled, the retaliation against Ruse was finished, and Alex Eala had once again demonstrated that she is more than just a player, she is a movement. A representation of what happens when 116 million individuals choose to believe. In the round of 32, Eala will now take on Amanda Anisimova, ranked number 10 in the world. 10-12, their first career meeting citation. With very few points to defend for the rest of the season, the Filipina has now risen to a career-high world number 18. As the season progresses, each victory from here on will only raise her standing. Alex Eala is just getting started, the tennis world is in disbelief, and the Filipinos are yelling. Thus, the question still stands. Will the tennis establishment be left behind or prepared for the Eala effect? For more sports drama and controversy, press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like this in-depth analysis of Alex Eala's contentious victory over Elena-Gabriela Ruse and what the Eala effect implies for tennis's future. Leave a comment below. Did Ruse have a good reason to request a racket inspection, or was it a desperate move? Tell us.